Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I've been super excited for this conversation because I am joined by Andrew Schmertz from Hopscotch Air, which is definitely not your typical airline. Andrew started the air taxi firm in 2009, armed with just a fleet of some aircraft, and now it has grown, and I'm super excited for Andrew to come on and share his story with all of you, our amazing listeners. Andrew, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Shalom. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely, Andrew. It's not every day that we have an owner of a air taxi service on Get Down to Business, but I'm looking at your website and it's pretty darn impressive. Andrew, tell us a little bit about your background that led to getting started with Hopscotch Air.
Sure. Let me just start by saying, if anything says airline chaos, that has been this week. And that is the goal of Hopscotch Air. So my background actually is in the media business. I began at News 12 Long Island. I was a reporter at News 12 and an associate producer. I went on to New York One, eventually anchored the business news at WABC and WLS in Chicago for a couple of years. And then decided to turn my hobby into a business, which is something that I actually don't recommend most people try. But it has been successful for us, but it has been a long slog. So Hopscotch Air, we certified it in 2009. It's an FAA certified air carrier. It was designed to provide affordable private aviation. Now that's a phrase that you hear a lot of right now as people try to, quote, democratize private aviation. We try to avoid the word democratize because it's very hard to get there. But the goal was to basically bring in new customers into the on-demand private aviation field. And we do that by flying a very utilitarian service. We provide air transportation, nothing else. And we do that through fuel-efficient, lower-cost aircraft.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm looking at your website. I'm seeing some of the routes that you have over here, including through Clubscotch, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. And you had quite an interesting testimonial from a mutual friend of ours that said to me, and I quote, that my son and I actually use Hopscotch for travel because he's unable to fly commercial and can't sit in a car for too many hours. So, and I think that story is not all that uncommon. So a lot of people are indeed going through the challenges of this holiday season with travel. And, their solution is, sort of take a little bit of a risk of, am I going to get to where I need to go? And what's the story with the travel? And how will this experience be? Or can they take the car? Or does it mean that they have to give up on that time with family? But there's a lot that we need to cover over here. There's a lot about the air taxi side of things. There's a lot about the regional travel as well. But Andrew, let's start indeed by talking about Club Hopscotch. What is that?
So our Clubscotch program is basically a membership program. The world has kind of moved towards a subscription program, whether it's buying your streaming TV services or your cup of coffee. And so Clubscotch is a viable option for people who travel frequently because we offer lower prices, some additional flexibility on travel time, and that is the Clubscotch program. But we do retail sales as well if you need to just fly a one-off flight. And you mentioned the car. That is our biggest competition. We're not really competing so much with the airlines as we're competing with driving, because everywhere we fly to, you conceivably can drive. We are also providing a private aviation experience, which, in the world of COVID that we just went through, has become a bigger issue. So that is the benefit model that Hopscotch Air is offering.
Okay, wow, that is a huge advantage. So Clubscotch, again, that sort of membership model, which is great. And what are the sort of left and right limits, as we would say, in terms of what you can offer? I know that you have using some of the smaller aircraft. You have been you've flown folks in all different directions. What is the? Tell us a little bit about the. I believe it's your Cirrus aircraft.
Sure. The service, as I mentioned, is purely utilitarian. It's a 3-passenger aircraft, which is fine because your average charter customer is only 1.5 people. It is also regional in nature. So we're flying people on average, about 150 miles from around the New York metropolitan area. And that is the core regional travel. And most of the travel in the United States is done on a regional basis. We're not really flying to the West Coast. We're not flying to Florida. And that is a segment of the industry that is less important to us than improving regional travel. So that is kind of the service we're offering. And, we're not offering catered meals on board, luxury service. And our customers don't want that. They just want to get to where they're going at a price point that they could kind of afford. And that's the key to the business. And that is the business that we've tried to replicate over the years.
Indeed. Again, I'm chatting with Andrew Schmertz from Hopscotch Air and Club Scotch. Where, again, this utilitarian service, I love it, where folks can fly primarily in the Northeast region at really not unaffordable prices. But again, really, really helps to bring things closer. And certainly there's a lot of conversation in the news about some of the regional travel actually being removed from Delta, American Airlines, and I go up and down that list. And I love what you're doing, Andrew, with Hopscotch Air. When we come back after a very quick break, I want to talk a little bit more about the sort of the business side of things, your advice to fellow entrepreneurs, your own experiences, and what some of your New Year's resolutions and goals are in the upcoming year. But again, you're listening to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm joined now by Andrew Schmertz from Hopscotch Air, and we are going to be right back. But in the meantime, be sure to check out our sponsors, Tom Mirabali from healthplanchicago.com for all of your health insurance and Affordable Care Act needs. Again, a quick break here. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Get Down to Business Show about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. I'm continuing my conversation with Andrew Schmertz from Hopscotch Air. Andrew, we talked a lot about the air travel side of things, which I'm fascinated by, and I think what you're doing is super duper cool. But a term that I definitely will use is you're an entrepreneur. You are developing this business, and I find your background fascinating. Again, in the media industry, including out in Chicago, which is awesome. But Andrew, what are some of the surprises that you've had along the way in building your own business?
I like to say that I went from the stable media industry to the stable aviation industry. It was a challenge. What I found in entrepreneurship is you have to almost be blind to the challenges you face. You have to be dogged. And you know that in entrepreneurship, you have to believe in the product you're selling. You also have to divorce yourself, though, from the emotional attachment it has. If something is not working, and this is the hardest part, if something is not working, you need to make course corrections. And I think that's the biggest challenge entrepreneurs face, is if they have the funds and they have the vision to pursue a specific dream, they need to be able to pivot from that dream before they get in too deep. And I think that is a challenge and a piece of advice I'd have for anybody going into entrepreneurship.
That's for sure. And so, we're having this conversation now moving into 2023 and, Hopscotch Air, you're continuing to grow. And I think you're talking about the issue at the right time, definitely in talking about, again, the air taxi air service, which is great. But what are some of the growth plans that you have in the upcoming year or maybe even upcoming 2 years ahead?
Yeah, so Hopscotch Air has a pretty aggressive growth plan. You had mentioned regional travel, the airlines cutting back on the cities they're servicing. We believe we can fill that gap. And that is a significant portion of our growth plan, to travel to communities that need air service, but that air service has either been reduced or eliminated over the past few years. There's a number of regional airlines, and these are names that people don't know of, but they travel on them all the time, that have gone out of business. So that is a major component of our growth strategy. Also, one of our New Year's resolutions, I think, is to help diversify this industry. This industry is one of the most undiversified in the world. And we think that we can play a role, a small role, whatever role that is, in helping to improve diversity, which will improve the pilot population. There's a major pilot shortage nationwide. It's a worldwide shortage, actually. And where do you find the new pilots? You could find that in diverse communities. And so we want to work on that goal as well.
That's awesome. As we again wrap up our time together, Andrew, what is the one action that you want our listeners to take? Do you want them to learn more about the service, or how can they get involved in the growth of hopscotch?
Sure. So they could certainly go to our website and learn about the service. That's flyhopscotch.com. We're in the process of raising money right now. So if they like what they see and they want to join us for the journey, they could do that. If they want to book a flight and try us out, they could do that as well. But, but explore your travel options is the key takeaway from this. It's not just the usual options. It's not just the big airlines that you have that you can travel on right now. There are a plethora of various travel companies out there. And I encourage everybody to spend a little bit more time than the quick search on an online travel agency website, like Priceline or Expedia, for example. Do a little bit more research and you could find some good deals and a better travel experience.
Well, definitely. I encourage all of our listeners to check out Hopscotch Air. We'll link through our website, through the show notes. And Andrew, congratulations on all your success and looking forward to following your progress and bringing you back onto the program real soon. I
would love it. Thanks, Shalom. Appreciate it.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us. That's a wrap for us here on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You can always get on my website, shalomklein.com. And, as we wrap up 2022, moving into 2023, I'm grateful to all of you, our listeners, and definitely encourage you to get in touch with me through our website, shalomklein.com, and definitely subscribe, rate, review, share. You don't want to miss a single episode, but we'll be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on AM 560. The answer to success. Let's get down to business.